everyone, welcome to another video talking about IDP rookies. My name is Matthew Montgomery, and today we are going to focus on not the big name players that we've been talking about since the draft, but what I have referred to as the other guys. A lot like the mid-2010s movie The Other Guys with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, talking about the people that maybe didn't get the most respect. That is what this IDP video is going to be about. There are more than just the first, second, and third rounds in this draft. We have had players hit before and hit hard coming in later drafts. The Legion of Boom was primarily drafted in these mid-rounds. So I believe that you can find gems, diamonds, hidden deep in the dirt. But you have to know where to look. You have to know which team strategically took players in these rounds, and you have to know what schemes they are going to fit into. Now, we can bore you with all the X's and O's of football. I'm going to talk to you with straight facts. I'm going to go at you with these are the players that do this, and this is why they are going to be great players for your IDP rosters. So strap in. Let's get it going. The first player I'd like to talk about today is Dadrian Taylor Demerson of the Arizona Cardinals. Demerson got selected later in the draft because he lacks the size that makes him a higher round pick. He's not the prototypical safety, but he has some positional versatility. He can play a variety of positions. He can play the nickel corner, or he can play a traditional safety role, which will get him on the field. The problem is he is playing behind arguably the best duo of safeties in the entire league with the Arizona Cardinals. Everybody knows that Budda Baker is one of the best, if not at one point the best player at his position for IDP fantasy football. What does that mean for Taylor? Well, he has the opportunity to learn from somebody who has proven to be a dominant player in this defense. I believe that that is worth more than just a throwaway fact. He actually is going to be in the room and see why Budda Baker is one of the best at his position. And he can learn, and so long as he soaks it in like a sponge, who's to say that he can't put it together on the field and eventually become a quality player for this defense? Let's get real, though. He is arguably going to have to wait most of the season, but he's an injury away guy. He is a guy that if there is an injury somewhere in that secondary, he will likely be the first guy to fill that role. And so long as he has a strong preseason and practice type of vibe, I believe that he can get on there early and often. And once he gets on the field, good luck getting him off of it. The next player I'm going to talk about is Evan Williams, the safety for the Green Bay Packers. He also is a player that has versatility at his position, and he has the ability to play the sub linebacker, a nickel corner, or a traditional safety. What that means is he can get on the field regardless of what you need, so long as he has the opportunity to practice that position. He has shown us in college that he is a very big playmaking type of player. He was a two-time All-Mountain West team before he got to Oregon. And last year at Oregon, he had a fantastic season. He was a 3-year starter in college, and his scheme is not going to change much in the NFL. He has familiarity in a system, and he has experience being on the field. His athleticism and versatility at the position are a combo that we are not often seeing in this draft class, so I believe that that alone is worthy of a draft pick or a selection on your waivers, but you have to understand that he is also going to have to fight for a position here. He was a later round pick for a reason, but he has a unique ability to get to the ball, whether it's to bring down the ball carrier in the sub linebacker role or even the ability to blitz the quarterback from the safety position. He is known to do so, he has the skills necessary to do so, and he has a success rate that I believe will translate to the NFL. And at the end of the day, we are looking for players that can get on the field, stay on the field, and make plays while they're on the field. Evan Williams fits that build. The last defensive back I'm going to talk about is Mike Mustafa of the San Francisco 49ers. Now, a lot can be said about who takes what position and why they take this player to fit their team. I trust when former players pick people on their team. I also trust when they pick players at their position. The general manager of the San Francisco 49ers is Hall of Famer John Lynch. And John Lynch selected a safety to make sure that he fits the mold of their defense. I don't know about you guys. I trust scouts. I trust everything that I hear and read on the internet with these professionals. But you have to trust when a former player, a Hall of Fame player at that, picks a player at the position. If anything, he now has a direct pipeline to Hall of Fame coaching, throw stuff off the wall. Let's talk about how we can help out. Now, maybe John Lynch isn't that involved with what the players actually do, but it's always nice to have somebody like that in the room to help teach you at the position. Talanoa Hufanga is on a bit of thin ice. He burst onto the scene a couple of years ago with some big plays and highlight reel type of effort, but he's been injured and he's proven that he can't exactly stay on the field for long periods of time, which led the 49ers to making this pick. Now, Malik Mustafa is one of these players who is going to be an in-the-box safety, okay? He is not going to drop deep. He's not going to 100% be the guy to go one-on-one deep ball with receivers. He is a guy that is going to be an intimidating force in the middle, and he is there to take down the ball carrier. When you have players like that on your IDP roster, you are getting players with high tackle opportunity, volume tackles. I don't care how many plays he plays at the corner position or how deep he plays at safety. If he is an in-the-box type of a safety and he is playing 35 to 40 snaps a game, there are going to be a tremendous amount of tackles to be had. And if he can make some of those as a rookie, I believe he can build on this and be a dynasty asset moving forward, especially if Talanoa Hufanga cannot stay on the field, and we have seen that this is happening more and more as the seasons go by. I am very bullish on Malik Mustafa for the San Francisco 49ers. When you're building a house, you don't start with the roof. You start with the foundation. I believe the foundation to any IDP roster is the linebacker position. So when you're searching for these later round guys, you need to find somebody who is a good part of a foundation. I believe that player in this draft is Cedric Gray of the Tennessee Titans. Gray is not exceptionally good at anything that he does, but he is also not bad at any part of the game, meaning to me that he is the perfect foundational player. He is a linebacker that is not going to screw the play up, but he might not pop off the screen. And because of that, I believe he fell later in the draft. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't have the quality potential to be a player for your IDP rosters. He averaged 10 tackles a game, and last season had 5 sacks and 11 tackles for loss. He was a Butkus Award semifinalist and first-team All-ACC. That tells me that he is a quality enough player to be recognized, even if he didn't win the big awards, that he was recognized as one of the premier players at his position in his conference. It was a Power 5 conference. That is an impressive stat. He's a motor guy. If you want to use the cheesy, oh, he's scrappy, oh, he's a go-getter, he's a gamer, fine. He reminds me of Sean Lee. The guy was a sideline-to-sideline guy who was just going to take the ball carrier to the ground. That is all that matters from the linebacker position, guys. If you have an inside linebacker, he has to be able to tackle. All of the other big plays are sprinkles on top of the cake, but the cake itself is tackles. So if Cedric Gray can get on the field, and I don't believe that there's an opportunity for him immediately. However, later down the line, this team is lacking potential stars. And if he can put in enough practice time and get better at his game, he can see the field probably midway through around that Thanksgiving time frame, and you should buy him in Dynasty because of this. I believe when he gets on the field, he will show that he will stay on the field. He will produce tackles. He will get in the coach's favor. And with this new regime will come new stars. And who's to say that Cedric Gray can't be one of those stars for the Tennessee Titans? The next player we're going to talk about is Tyrese Knight of the Seattle Seahawks. You may recognize this name from the Last Chance U Netflix show, but we're not going to talk about the highlights from his high school career. We're going to talk about what he produced on the college football field and how he can be a producer for the Seattle Seahawks. To start, last season, he led the entire FBS in solo tackles. What do you want out of a linebacker, guys? He led the FBS in tackles. I don't care what team he played for. That's hard to do. He is the career leader in tackles in the Conference USA throughout his tenure there, meaning the years he played there, no other player in the conference achieved more tackles. This guy does exactly what you want from a linebacker. Get the football on the ground. What more can you want? The Seattle Seahawks are in a bit of a transition this year. They brought back Bobby Wagner last season, and he produced at a Bobby Wagner level as Jordan Brooks continued to recover from the major injury. This year, Bobby Wagner is now on the Washington Commanders, leaving an open spot in the middle of the field next to the highly acclaimed Jordan Brooks. I don't believe that Knight is going to be an immediate starter there, but he does have an opportunity to get on the field, and who's to say that he can't be that next great Seattle Seahawks linebacker? If you lead the FBS in tackles, I'm going to assume that you know how to get the ball carrier on the ground. And if I can assume that in my tiny little room here in Indiana, I'm sure that talent scouts can also see that. And that's why the Seattle Seahawks chose to take him in the draft, and I believe chose to make him a part of their defensive future. Make sure you swipe him up while he's still relatively unknown, because I believe that once he gets on the field, he's going to show that he can lead the NFL in tackles just like he did in college. The last linebacker I'm going to talk about today is the former Ohio State Buckeye, Tommy Eichenberg, who was drafted by the Las Vegas Raiders. It's really cool to see Eichenberg go here because the Raiders have a defensive head coach. And I believe that just like how offensive head coaches will amplify their offensive players, the defensive head coach will do so with their defensive players. He was a two-time first-team All-Big Ten. That is a big deal. The Big Ten is not a slouch conference. It's arguably one of the only two relevant conferences moving forward in college football. So it's a big deal that he was assumed to be one of the first players at his position, if not the best player at his position in that conference. One of the coolest parts, he could immediately go in and be the team's third linebacker. They run a 4-3 there, meaning there are 3 linebackers, 2 on the outside and 1 on the inside. And I would consider those more of the inside linebacker positions, considering their defensive ends will be the ones rushing the quarterback. Because of the scheme being like this, I believe that he could be one of those players that could get in the game and be one of those tackle machines that you want for your IDP rosters. But it does come with a little bit of a risk. He doesn't really pop. He doesn't really have those athletic moves that you want to see, or he can get sideline to sideline speed, or one of those devastating hit velocities. He's one of those guys that's just going to take the ball carrier down. He's a very solid linebacker, team captain kind of guy, one of those players that can show the leadership that you need. And I just believe that he could be overshadowed by some of the star defensive players that we're starting to see be acquired for the Raiders, but that doesn't mean that he can't contribute to your team at a high level. The players in front of him currently have some injury concerns, specifically Divine Deablo. I love Divine Deablo. When he's on the field, he's proven to be one of the better players for this team, but he just cannot stay on the field. And if he cannot stay on the field, then we have to identify who the players are behind him that could have an opportunity, and who's to say that Eichenberg can't be one of those players to immediately step up and take over in the event of an injury. I believe he's worthy of a later round draft pick in your IDP drafts, and I believe that he also could be a surprise starter week 1, depending on how his preseason goes. As always, thank you so much for watching these videos. My name is Matthew Montgomery. You can follow me on all socials at MattMontyFF. Please like, subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with your mom and dad at dinner, whatever you got to do. But please help me continue to build this. I'm really trying to learn how to be a better football fan, better football analyst, whatever it is, a talking head, just me in my silly little room here full of sports. Anything that you can do to help with sharing these videos goes a long way. I really appreciate you guys tuning in, and thank you.